So here we are behind one of the oldest houses in the oldest neighborhoods in Hannibal. Old garage here. These all date back to the 1840s, I believe. And I've been given permission to hunt this backyard. On the 85 map it shows there should be something in that corner. Don't know. And here's the old yellow brick road to the city of Oz, or to the privy of Oz, I don't know. Hopefully we'll find something. And this house next door is vacant and for sale. Behind this big bush here would be this guy here. And there is a center property wall here, I believe, which these stones would be a part of. I believe there's an old boundary wall that runs right through here. So who knows? Back at the current location, we have our tarp sort of laid out, and we have our hole sort of started. So far I've only gotten a couple of shards of glass, purpling, so that could date our hole, if you go 20 years back from that, 1860 to 1900. Clearly we need more evidence. So here we go. Well, after more debate and much probing, I decided to fill her in, as the roots were overbearing and the glass was not forthcoming, nor were any loose layers. So we decided to probe over here on the opposite side of the lot, where it seemed a bit more promising, and picking up where we left off, probe this area here between these three flags. I don't know if you can see that last one back in here. There it is. Between that one and these two guys, there appears to be something that feels good. Glass, soft ground, right near that rock wall property line that I was talking about. So we'll come back after we talk to the renters and make sure they know that I plan to dig in this area so they don't sink their cars, because this is usually where they park. After coming back this morning and taking over a parking space near the hole, I erected this little barrier of caution tape and rebarb so that people wouldn't drive in the hole. Then I started digging, and then, as you can see that yellow thing down there in the hole, I discovered a gas line. So I called up my good buddy Jose and asked him, do they run them like water lines underground? Because I had to hack through 2 inches, 1 and 2 inch thick roots to get there. And he said, yeah, sometimes they do. So rather than just filling in the hole, I kept at it, because I had found some pre-Civil War shards, mainly these funny little chimneys again. Little squat guys with the wide tops, and then the skinny narrow ones. And then of course my friend the yellowware. But in and of and by themselves tends to lead one to ask, where's the bottles? Where's the glass? Chimneys, dishware, a drinking glass. Well, I did dig up 2 bottles. One was stuck inside of a broken chimney. As we'll peer over the edge here, and here's the chimney. And this is just how the bottle was, sticking in the bottom of the broken part of the chimney. And as I removed it, I realized it was a plain little 3-piece mold 1860s medicine. But first out of the hole, complete and unbroken, was this little jar / bottle, utility type. No embossing, of course. The very first thing out of here was this bad boy. A LQC Wishart's pine tree cordial, pine tree tar cordial from Philadelphia, with the pine tree and the date 1858, and patent, I'm sure, was embossed above the tree. Been wanting one of these for so long. I saved the pieces, but as of yet have not found the top to it. So we are in the process of widening out the hole, the vault. I'm going to start using that word, the vault. That was the term they used in the old days for privy holes. They called them vaults. Not to be confused with Geraldo and Al Capone's vault, which, as we all know, was empty. Well, about a half hour ago, I was not near as deep and had only pulled out a handful of bottles when I had this bad boy laying in the hole. Big plain bitters. No embossing, but boy oh boy is it old. No panel. Early 60s. And then out came this Crawleyville style jar. The broken pieces are in it, as you can hear, rattling around. And I think there's embossing on it, but I can't tell till I wash it. Then I got a Godfrey's cordial, smooth base. And a rolled lip, smooth base Mrs. Winslow's soothing syrup. And a half a dozen of these plain unmarked guys. And right on target, it's starting to rain. Joy. Well, true to my nature, I continued digging even though I threw out my back about an hour ago. Ouch. And I'm pretty confident I have cleaned out the vault. Not a hell of a lot to show for it, but I'm not complaining. Now, it's decision time. Do I fill it in, or do I hire my help? We shall see. Well, alrighty, out of the first hole of 4 that I dug behind these 2 houses, the only one out of this batch that's paneled is this really cool little Cofine's liniment number 2 with a nice funky open panel in great shape. Supposedly these number 2s are harder to find than just the plain old liniment ones. But then again, I think the other one comes in amber, which is, that'd be sweet. Another bottle that came out of this was this medicine, Packard and James from New York. No side panel embossing, funky early base. Nice crude applied top. Nothing to not like there. And the ever-present Mrs. Winslow's Soothing Syrup. A nice straight line hinge mold. Hard to tell, but it's an inward rolled lip. Whoever did that one knew what they were doing. And then this nice super gloppy top cylinder. A little narrower than the usual one for that age, and then this super crude amber bitters with no embossing. Broke my heart, but still, obviously I decided it was a keeper. I've had it for 10 years now. That's how long ago this dig occurred, was 2013. And at this point, I get to correct mistakes. The broken pine tree cordial was mistakenly, I said 1858, when clearly it's an 1859 embossing. And Crawleytown, not Crawleyville, for the jar, which I had been corrected. Believed it's a Hemingway jar, which dates about the same. You know, obviously I'm not much of a jar guy. Never have been, can't make me. However, you know, I ever dig up something cobalt blue, you know, like a Canton jar or something crazy, that'd change my mind in a heartbeat, wouldn't it? Anyway, that's from hole number 1. Hole number 2 had more bottles in it. This one had more bottles too, but they were just pretty much plain, not too terribly interesting. These are the keepers as far as I was concerned. And since I typically dig solo, I get to choose pretty much which ones are keepers and which ones aren't. Anyway, onward and forward. I'll get on to dig number 2 here shortly. Okay, back at the old place where I was a week and a half ago, which was over here. Before I left, I probed something where this flag is. I come back a week and a half later and I can't find a reason for the flag. But I probed over here and there's definitely something. Feels like a privy pit. So far it's digging like a privy pit. And I got about a foot to go according to the probe before I hit some sort of a soft layer. Hopefully use layer. But I'm not about to jam around into it. So far the only thing I've gotten is a white piece of porcelain, tiny fragment. And that's it. Hopefully more in a short while. So it comes to every priver diggy. Let me start that over. So every privy digger comes to a point where they have to make that executive decision. Do I open it up some more and keep going, or do we close it up? And I decided to open it up some more and keep going. So this is what it looks like with the edges knocked in. Hopefully in the next half hour I'll be down to about where I was, about the 3-4 foot level. My 6-foot probe bottomed out at 5 feet at the bottom of that, so that means it goes down about 8 feet. I did not feel any glass. I felt a little crunchy. But sometimes the probe misses everything. So due to the fact that this property is so old and it's so close to the other privy, that I have to dig it out and see if it was completely cleaned out, or if there's a couple of goodies in the bottom. That's what I'm hoping for, a couple of goodies at the bottom. So we're diving in. Well, I don't think I mentioned before, but I have not yet found a wall to this particular site. Except to my left here. It's a fairly solid clay wall, so it was probably a wood liner. Wood's all gone. And I haven't found that gas line that should be somewhere in this vicinity. But I did find my first bottle. Well, my bottle came out whole, and with embossing on the upside facing me. I guessed it was a Dr. Jane's alterative because of the general shape of the lip and shoulders, and it came out nothing like I expected. Dr. J.W. Poland's White Pine Compound. Early smooth base with a nice globby lip. Early 60s, and it looks like it's in great shape. So far my decision has paid off, and that was only 5-10 minutes ago. Yeehaw. Well, these were the more interesting finds out of the second hole on the property. A nice funky stoneware conical ink. I always love these things. This little guy, I think it's the smallest of the Edward Wilder's bottles. It's got an embossed, it's pretty hard to see in any light, but he's got the building, his drugstore and warehouse embossed on the front of it. Edward Wilder and Company Wholesale Druggist, label panel, and then Mother's Worm Syrup. Yeah. Anyway, a cool little bottle. It's the only one I've ever dug up. I actually bought one of the sarsaparillas. That's a nice tall bottle. The Dr. J.W. Poland's White Pine Compound. I was surprised this didn't come out paneled. I mean, it's clearly an early. This looks like a hinge mold with a funky applied top and Yeah, just a cool, nice size bottle and everything. This one here, William F. Davidson from Cincinnati. I think I did some research on this. It was a short-lived company in the mid-1860s, I think. It looks like a half-circle hinge mold. Funky crudeness all around. And then this guy is not the one in the video, because the one in the video has a probe hole in the corner, which I kept for a long time to remind me, do not over probe the holes. But also I kept it until I dug up a good one, and this was its replacement. Same size and everything. Super crude on this one. You can see it bows in, almost like somebody forgot that they weren't supposed to ponnel them and jabbed something in the bottom of it and the glass blower guy said, "No, Mr. Apprentice, we got this new tool here." So who knows? Anyway, same era, same style bottle. I've dug up a small handful of them. Early 1860s, I think. Well, here we are, day 2, back here on dig number 3. This one goes to the property next door to where we've been digging, because it's right on the property line, just south of the other yard. A brick liner, appears to be pretty old. In the fill was 1880s stuff, mid-80s. And in the clay down below was a broken lipped Ponald J. Preston from Boston. So hopefully there's something at the bottom. So far the glass has been very meager. So we shall see. Well, after nearly 3 hours of solid digging, I have absolutely nothing to show for my efforts, except for a deep hole lined by brick. I'm probably close to the 10-foot level, which is probably close to the bottom. And so far some bits and pieces, mostly pottery and dishware, and a rare piece of a bottle, and that's it. This puppy got dipped hard, I think. Alrighty, well these were the keepers of the bottles out of hole number 3. And this one was behind 409 North 4th Street, I believe. Definitely the oldest hole. There were 2 bottles that came out in the cap, a St. Jacob's Oil and a Headless Hannibal Webster drugstore bottle from the mid-1880s. Everything else was ponnelled, including that green mallet champagne-looking thing. Sadly, the crier here was this little RB Snow, tiny ink. I mean, this is small even for an ink. That's not one of those indelible ink bottles, but it was pretty well busted when I dug it up, and then I happened to drop it on the floor one day and broke it even more. So, I kept that little piece for whatever reason, but that's a tough one. Nice little panel on it, of all the bottles to get damaged, something that little, Oh well, so I hang on to it till I dig up a good one. The Groen and Durholt sodas are from Quincy, typically, and iron paneled. They do come in smooth base as well, in this same style, same mold. And those are actually way harder to find than the paneled ones. Because I think they went down to St. Louis shortly afterwards, or something goofy happened. But the interesting thing to note is that a lot of these are dug in Hannibal mainly because they had like a satellite soda factory in Hannibal. And so far, I've never found one that's embossed with Hannibal Mo on it. They're all Quincy, Illinois. But I dig as many of these in Hannibal as I've dug in Quincy. And my suspicion is they just called for another wagon load when they needed more bottles, But still, paneled and cool. This guy I kept forever. I still have, for 10 years anyway. Nice paneled, nice funky, darker than normal aqua green color. Sadly, no embossing, but there is a weird little thing on the shoulder here. I don't know what that was about. I don't recall ever seeing anything like that before. Oh, my dog's groaning in the background. Like, oh God. Anyway, perfect flared lip. Should have said, old dirt slinger's cure for something. Liniment. The coolest thing that come out of this particular dig was Montague's. I don't know how well you can see that. Montague's balm for the teeth. Now, I don't know about you, but a balm for the teeth just does not sound appetizing. And then it's got a plain back panel, but nice flared lip, all there, no chips, no nice funky fin of glass sticking out of the neck, oozed out while they blew it in the mold, and then a nice big open panel. The only information I have found on them is through Digger Odell's panel book. Says something about 1836 or 37 advertised, and not a whole heck of a lot else I've been able to find about it. I've never even seen another one. So there you have it. That was a cool dig, although 10 feet down before I dug up my first whole bottle in the video, I was just about ready to say, screw it, I'm done, But I still had that rather wide shelf that I'd been standing on. And as it turns out so often in some of these deeper, older holes, one corner holds everything, kind of how this one went. Anyway, last hole coming up. Well, here I am, back at 409 and 411 North 4th Street, 1840s. And once again, I probed a hole, I believe, right about 3 or 4 feet away from the last one I dug. I expect it to be the 1860s hole to the 409 address, because I'm just south of the property line. And time to open her up. Well, after about 2 solid hours of digging, I'm only about 4 foot deep, but I've already dug up a number of old shards, some puddled stuff, bones, and probably my 20th broken Dr. Bull's sarsaparilla, extract of sarsaparilla, and almost a teal green color with an iron pommel. And that's pretty much all I have found of it. I haven't found the top or any other panels, and that was in the top fill, and the probe doesn't feel like it goes down very much further, so we're in a quandary. Yep. Okay, after 2.5 hours of digging, I came up with a beautiful gargling oil in Lockport green. Didn't miss the pommel by too much. Came real close. Super gloppy lip. Looks to be perfect, except for a little scratch my scratcher made, which I can polish out a little bit. Yeehaw! My first really good bottle out of the hole. I did find a little bitty perfume marked Excavating. Real hard to read. Took me 3 times to find it. But these typical shapes usually have some sort of embossing. Usually Lubin from Paris, but this one's Excavating from Philadelphia. And what's cool is I just bought this week a Lockport, a merchant, GW Merchant's bottle, with the hopes that I would dig one up. Sometimes you buy one and then you turn right around and dig one. This was damn close. Maybe the next one. Well, we're finally at the bottom. I don't know how many hours later. I think it's almost 3 o'clock. About 5 hours later. And I realized after hitting bottom, I kind of went around in a circular motion around the sides of this wood-lined, round, maybe a barrel privy. Then I realized I did not dig out the most center part of the hole, and looky there, we have a bottle. I see a lip and a shoulder. Lip to the north, shoulder to the south, and hopefully it's in one piece with embossing all over the place. We shall see. Well, it's appearing to be whole. It looks utilitarian, like maybe a shoe polish. Undoubtedly it's unembossed, but still, it looks like a whole one. I'd be surprised if it's not puddled. Well, out of this hole, only 2 bottles came out, and this is the only one that came out undamaged. Super crude lip, and I've always loved these garglers ever since I dug my first one up years ago, and always wondered if there were any that were puddled out there. I haven't heard of or seen one yet. This one is about as close as they come, I would say. It came out of a puddled pit era, and everything about this screams puddled except for the bottom, you know, and that real nice Lockport green color. God, who can complain about that, right? Just a, you know, an unusual dark green, you know, almost looks like our GW Merchant green, you know, with that crude top, and oh boy. But anyway, at least I got that one out of the hole. This one was the one that I was digging from this vantage point. Probably why I didn't finish it out with the video of the hole is because of this bad issue here. Is not only is there a big chip out of this side, but a massive split with a crack down it. And Boss Teutenberg and Bauer, I've never heard of it, never seen it. Nice open panel. That'll cut your thumb off right there, I'm telling you. Just a nice funky utilitarian food bottle. I don't know what the heck it was. Anybody come up with a reference for it, I'd be interested to hear. Just a crying shame, you know. An unlisted whatever. All beat to hell, but I still hung on to it, you know. Always makes you scratch your head and wonder, what the heck? What the heck? Kind of too small for an olive jar, too big for a shoe polish. And I you know, go figure.